Alright, where's the alternator on this thing? Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but this is part of it down here, attached to this pump, and I can't see what else it's attached to on the belts. I can only see one bolt. I'm sure it has at least one more somewhere. And I think we're going to take it off and have it tested before we go spend money on another one. Okay, so we got the battery disconnected over here. Both bolts and out of the way. Make sure the connectors aren't anywhere near touching each other. I have a feeling this is going to have to get out of my way. Bolt here, bolt here. Might have to bend this bracket out of the way. I've gotten the top bolt loose right here. The bottom bolt is underneath a pulley over here that you can't see right down here. So I'll have to take this pulley off. I don't think that one's the tensioner. Still have to disconnect the wires off the back of the alternator. Let's see if we can get a better angle. Here's one right there, if you can see that. There's a little pin on that clip that has to come off. Stick you on hold for a minute while I do that. Okay, we got that connector off. There's a little red locking clip that fell down somewhere back behind them leaves that I'll have to drop this band down here off to find that again. But I guess that keeps it from rolling away too far at the moment. Next we're going to take off the radiator reservoir here. These are two 13mm bolts. We'll be back in a second. We'll get those off. Alright, we got the radiator reservoir out. Pin this bracket off to the side and out of the way here. I'll do that in a minute. And I also loosened up this bolt for the power steering pump just to give me a little more flexibility. Now I gotta try to get that pulley off way down there that you can't see. I think that's a 15mm. As you can tell, I've had a cold and a cough for a little bit, and it's not been cooperating very much. Let's see, no, that's not 15mm. Let's try 16. Pappy's big old fat hands can barely get down there. Yeah, that's 16mm. Okay. Way down deep into the engine well where there's hardly no room to see or do anything else. Fun, fun, fun. Alright, we got the pulley off and the thrust bearing. Don't plan on getting anything down there other than a ratchet or a 16mm wrench. Ratcheting 16mm wrench might work good. And yeah, that's my belt look. Well, it's got over 100,000 miles on it. Probably ought to replace that too. I should be able to see that other bolt down in there on the alternator. Oh, there it is. It's way down on the bottom of the alternator. We're not getting any views on that, but I think it's either 15 or 16 millimeter from what I could feel. Let's see what we can find. Alright, on the back of the alternator, where my fingers are, you'll see there's a little plastic cap, not this wire group, but another wire group. This one is bolted to the alternator. It's a 13 millimeter that my finger is on right now. If you can see my finger, I'm trying to get the camera around, but I can't quite get it. Anyways, get that off and you can, hey look, there's one of my scratches that the car has lovingly given me. Rip my watch band. Alright, we got the wire off back here. I thought it was off. Oh, now it's off. It's just kind of looking like it was hanging on there. Now it's down out of the way. You can see the alternator is loose now. I've got the top bolt out. And I have to work on the bottom of the bolt. Or the bottom bolt. That is... Ooh, that's the first time I've actually seen it. Right there, if you can follow my fingers. Alright, let's get that sucker off. Alright, we got the big long bottom bolt out. And it's and it's loose, but it doesn't want to come out of there. And it's going to be a fun trip trying to get it out of this little hole right there. Gosh, I miss the old days. It was actually stuck inside the brackets themselves. Don't know if you can see. There's a groove right here where the bolt goes through, and it kind of pinched in here. So now we got the other fun part of getting that big old thing to that itty bitty space. Now I'm going to turn this off because I think the Tinker puppies are going to learn some new cuss words as I try to fight this thing. Well, after 30 minutes of cussing, screaming, threatening, crying, whining, threatening to replace it with all Chinese parts, send it to the scrapyard, and everything else, I just can't get the 7-inch alternator out the 5-inch hole. So I guess I got to take off the tire and the inner fender well and all that other happy hoo-ha stuff just to get to it. So we'll be back when we start taking that off. It doesn't matter how safe you think you are or how short a time you're going to be under a car that's supported by a jack, but always, always use a jack stand if you're going to be under any part of this car. They can fall, they do fall. I've had them fall on me. So what we're going to do, we're going to take out these 10mm bolts. There's another one up in here. These little things, and we're going to try to get to this, to the rest of the engine compartment from under here. Let's see how that goes. It looks like I will have to drop the AC compressor too, which is this bolt right here. That's 13mm. I haven't found yet if there is another one. It wouldn't surprise me. Why have just one bolt easy to get to? Over here on this side, to get to this bolt up here, you have to loosen this bottom shield, or at least I had to, because my fumble fingers wouldn't get there. And I also had to loosen the, take off the condenser bracket right here. It's the center one. Don't worry about taking these top two bolts off. And this one right there is 13mm too. I would love to talk to these engineers. It is free. It is loose. It is off the car and out of the car. Now, will I get the new one back in before the rain starts coming on me? But here's another look of how I had to move stuff around to get this stuff out of there. Unbolt the AC compressor. Take that off. There's a third bolt hidden in the back of it. It's 13mm also. But you don't have to take out all the lines or any of the lines. And while I'm at it, even though this serpentine belt looks okay, just for everything to get to it, I think I ought to go ahead and replace it anyways, even though it still looks good. Might as well. Alright, off to the auto parts store now. Nice, pretty alternator. They said, is that the 115 volt or the 140 volt? I said, I have no idea. That's why I brought in the old part to tell you guys. So you guys could figure it out. That's your job. So after a 30-minute discussion, they decided to sell me the 115 volt because it was cheaper. Okay. Alright, let's get this sucker in. It has to come in from the bottom, way down there. And once I get it in there, I will tie it up with this zip tie to keep it out of the way, so that I can put the air conditioning compressor back in, because you can't move that around with the 20 or so pounds of the alternator on top of it. So then we'll do that. And we got a new serpentine belt over there to put on. We still have some daylight and it's not raining, so let's get back to work. Okay, we got the alternator tied back up in here, and we're going to put the AC compressor bolted back up, and then I can start trying to attach the whatever this thing is called that I've been trying to take out. Oh, that reminds me, the bottom bolt on the alternator has this funky bracket. This little thing, do not lose. the bottom bolt, this is what it actually threads into. Let's see if you can see the part where it goes. Alright, see this U-channel right here. Right there where my fingertip is. That L bracket will go on this back side of that when you're putting it all back together. Instead of a regular nutter bolt, is that L looking thing. Now I'm going to put it back in my magnetic tray so I don't lose it. Okay, look, I've got that L bracket preloaded onto here, and hopefully your model is the same as mine, where it'll just drop into this groove right here where my finger is. You might have to wiggle it and jiggle it. There's not a whole lot of room there, and while this might look like it's on a little bit funky, this is the way it was on before. You can tell by the impression on this side versus this side. You can tell that the crush washer was against this, so this is the way that it was when it put on. I do have to say, Pappy's getting tired. Pappy's back hurts, and he might not get this finished today. And the light's starting to fade. Alright, let's at least get this on. Alright, we got the bottom bolt on for the alternator and tightened up. You can see the top one still isn't in that. But before I do that top one, I'm going to go ahead and put this idler on. When you do, put a little bit of some blue thread locker on the threads just to help it from the vibrations and stuff. I can't hold the camera and squirt it at the same time, so you'll just have to trust me that I put it on. After much fighting, a lot of cursing, a healthy squirt of WD-40, a lot of sand in my hair and shoulders and everything else, I finally got this tensioner to move. It was a little bit seized up, but some WD-40 and some wiggling and jiggling, letting that soak in for a while, that helped it a lot. So now I have the belt on. We're going to charge the battery some before giving it a test. We've got the wires hooked back up to the alternator back here, and everything clipped in and nice and secure. Oh, look at there. There's a bolt. Pappy didn't tighten. You better tighten that bolt. But I took the belt back, loosened the belt back up, and then tightened it in, because you don't want to try to tighten in a bolt that was that far out as this one was with it under tension. That's a surefire way to booger up some threads, especially in this aluminum stuff. The threads just aren't as strong as they were in the old steel cars. Oh, listen to that baby purr. Everything looks like it's back together. Nothing shaking, vibrating, shimmying. And best of all, the only thing left over in the bolt bin is the bolt from the back of the alternator, and that came with the brand new one. So off into the parts bin.